There we go.
All right.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Persuasion by the Pint. I'm Jonathan Taylor, along with
Sean Oso McCool and Jonathan Day. We've got special guests. We've actually got two guests. One, I've got roofers on my roof.
Yes.
They're banging from time to time, so you may hear that in the background.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're repairing. We don't get rain here, so I'm not sure what the problem is. But then we have a real guest. Besides that, we have our friend Bob Bly, legendary copywriter Bob Bly, coming back
Legendary.
on the show. And we're going to be talking about AI. So getting his view and, from both a technical copywriting background and just someone who's been in the business a long time. We're going to poke around and see what we can find out. And
I can guess what Bob's, I don't want to presume. So
we'll find out together.
We're going to dig on this one. I think
Bob's
I know where
he's very efficient. He's also very efficient. So I don't know. I'm curious to find out myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, do you have a bio or anything?
Yeah, I sure do. Bob's been on he's been on our podcast. This makes what the third appearance. So
probably
he's written, the last I counted, he's written over 90 books. So that may be updated after we talk to him. It's probably 120 now. But Bob is a professional writer, copywriter, speaker, marketing consultant. He has over 3 decades of experience in B2B, high-tech, and direct response marketing. He became a self-made multimillionaire while he was still in his 30s. Interesting enough, he has a technical background in, I believe, in chemical engineering. If I'm not mistaken, he can correct me. But interesting transition, going from engineering background into copywriting. He can talk about that. He is the author of more than, as I mentioned earlier, 90 published books, including Careers for Writing. One of my all-time favorites is the Copywriter. What is it? The Copywriter Manual. I've got it right over here.
Copywriter's Handbook.
Yeah, Copywriter's Handbook. It's right there on my shelf over there. The Elements of Business Writing. Bob was named 2007 Copywriter of the Year by the AWAI. He writes columns for Target Magazine, Direct Response Marketing. This may be a little dated, some of this that I'm reading, so he can update us. But the guy is a prolific writer. That's the bottom line. So
for sure.
With that said, welcome to the show, Bob Bly. Oops.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
So how many books are you up to now? I said 90. What is that?
My new book was published today by Crystal Lake Publishing.
Of course it was.
And it's number 110.
Wow. That's awesome.
And
that is amazing.
What's today's book? What was the book?
Today's book is relevant to our call. It's called AI Apocalypse.
I love it.
How artificial intelligence has been portrayed by and predicted by science fiction, movies, films, TV, and books.
Got it.
Interesting.
Well, we can crack into that a little bit too, for sure.
Perfect timing. Yeah.
So that's a good tease right there. So why should people stick around? Because obviously you can pull from some of that or wherever else.
Well,
tell us.
If I know your audience is writers and marketers, and we're in a universe where AI is the 8,000-pound gorilla in the room. There's nothing more dominating the conversation today in writing, marketing, info marketing, and copywriting than AI. So that's the main reason who today is not interested.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So we'll find out where you fall on it, and then we'll find out any kind of tips, tactics, techniques, anything around either direction, right? So, Bob, you just moved, but you do have a beverage. You said you didn't have any beer in the house because you just moved, but you stumbled through the cabinet and found some.
Yeah, I didn't have any beers, which shocked me. But we didn't move. I guess a lot of the food that we didn't move from the other house. We didn't take it with us. So I made a cup of coffee, and I have my liquor cabinet over there. So I put some Grand Marnier in, and I'm good to go.
He had to improvise, but that's okay. That sounds pretty good.
That does sound pretty good on a Friday afternoon. Still chilly up there in New Jersey?
Not only is it chilly here, it's been absolutely frigid, and it's going to get worse this weekend. This
Oh,
weekend,
oh.
we're going to have, I mean, the winds will be 40 miles an hour. They say don't stay out long or you'll get frostbite. That's how
wow.
bad it is,
Wow.
which is unusual for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't get that cold usually.
Yeah. That's,
Wow.
yeah. And you've had 2 weekends in a row like that. Then last
Yep.
weekend was like that. So that's tough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jonathan, what do you have up in your neck of the woods for a beverage today?
Sean, I think you would like this one. This is a from Duclaw, who we've had on before. This is called a Sweet Baby Fluffer Butter. Fluffer Butter.
For Nutter.
Fluffer Nutter.
Fluffer Nutter.
Yeah. Like the Fluffernutter sandwich, peanut butter and marshmallow, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to combine that and I wanted it to be peanut butter, but it is a Fluffer Nutter. Say that really fast, but it is a white stout. I couldn't find a whole lot about it on because Duclaw doesn't have a page on it. It's a 6.2% ABV white stout. It looks amazing, so we'll see how it tastes.
I had many years ago, it's one of the first, like the first year I was really into craft beer, I had their Sweet Baby Jesus, which I think they had to end up change the name of because they got so much pushback that there was a beer with the name Jesus on it.
Oh yeah.
So they had to, I think they ended up changing the name, but it was a good beer. It was a peanut butter stout. So
yeah, almost all that Duclaw series. Pretty good.
Absolutely. Well, I've got a black quadruple ale.
Yeah.
So this is a Trappist monk inspired ale. So it made me think of Bob when it was Trappist monk, him sitting down there in his dungeon, pounding out copy and scribing and all that kind of stuff. So figured I'd pull this, but yeah, this is a very heavy ale. So it's 10.3% ale. So pretty strong.
Oof.
And usually has that very strong, like Scottish ale kind of feeling to it. So, and got it in the old chug mug. Which I think you saw yours too. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, gentlemen, let's cheers it up to a good episode.
Cheers.
To the AI apocalypse.
AI apocalypse.
Bob, what's normally? I know in the past you've had like shandy on our podcast. I mean, what do you like to have?
Last time I had a shandy because and my normal beer is my favorite beer when I can get it is Taddy Porter.
Okay.
And I drink Guinness, and but I switch it up. I'm basically beer and whiskey and scotch are my drinks.
There you go. You're our kind of, that's why we keep having you back.
Exactly. That's right up our alley.
Fit right in the family here. So it's good stuff. Well, on a scale of 1 to 5 pints, Bob, what do you give your little mixture there today?
It's a good brew of coffee, and it's Grand Marnier. So I'll give it a 5. Scale of 1. Would you say 1 to 10?
1 to 5. 1 to 5.
1 to 5. I'll give it a 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Solid score.
Do you ever have an Irish coffee in the morning there, Bob?
I tend not to have it in the morning. I tend to have it in the afternoon. And another one that I like is, in terms of Irish, is, I don't know if you have it where you are, the Irish car bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's silly, but it's fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably just killed our YouTube ratings right there with saying transcript.
We've been
blacklist.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they changed the name of that in a lot of bars too. Because
have they? I was not aware of that.
Yeah, crazy.
So the nice name for it. That's what I like.
Yeah, I don't know what the nice name is. It's too polite for me. So
Irish,
I like Irish.
Yeah,
little Northern Irish. All right, Jonathan, what do you give yours?
Oh, this is very good. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.8. 4.8.
What was the name of it again? I got to check.
It is a Sweet Baby Fluffernutter.
Yeah, Duclaw's up around your area, right, Bob? Because they're
well, I guess.
Aren't they from that area up there?
No, I don't. It doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, I thought they were.
I don't know.
I think the first time I had them was
it's Ewing, New Jersey.
I did not know that, and I've never been to Ewing, so you learn something.
Yeah. Well, New Jersey's a big state to get around, so yeah.
This way, back, up and down, not sideways.
Yeah. Being here in Texas, I was being mean to you. So, all right, I'll get
mine. What about
you,
Sean?
Yeah, so this is definitely an ale, so it leans a little hoppier than the stouts and things like that, but it's still very good. It's got I like it. I'm gonna give it a 3.8.
Oh, okay.
It's a little hoppy, but it's still good.
A little hoppy.
What was the name of that one again? I'm gonna check them out both out.
So this is Real Ale Brewing.
Real Ale Brewing.
It's a black quad.
Black quad sounds good.
Yeah, it's often in a mixed 6-pack. Is what I find in the grocery store. So, all right. Well, let's jump into talking about.
Bob, did I get this right in the introduction? Were you a former chemical engineer by trade or by training?
By training. I went to school and majored in and got a BS in chemical engineering.
Okay.
At the University of Rochester.
Okay, that's what I thought.
My first job was with a chemical engineering equipment manufacturer, and I was for industrial sales, but I rapidly went into the marketing side of it, and that's how I got into copywriting. Because
chemical engineering, that industry is so good at marketing, right? So you decided that was
it's odd. The company that hired me, for industrial sales, the guy who hired me said, we need some copy written in our ad agencies don't understand what our products are about. So can you do that too? And I said, sure, I'm glad. And soon that's what I was mainly doing. So I was happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Very
awesome.
Nice.
I love those stories coming from a technical background because I'm in the chemical engineering space too. In a lot of the industries that I'm in or the companies that I work with. So that's very cool.
Very cool. Well, Bob, tell us now, since you just launched this book today, I'm curious, maybe we just start there. Why did you decide to write a book about AI? Is this your first book about AI or is this just most recent?
My first book about AI. It's not my first book about science or science fiction.
Okay.
But I'm for decades, for over half a century, I've been a rabid science fiction fan. And of course, during all that time, since I can remember, AI has been portrayed in various ways in science fiction, movies, novels, short stories, and so on. And I said, that's interesting. Why don't I put together an informal survey or history of how the key works that have portrayed AI in science fiction, which goes back over a century, by the way. It's been a long time. And, and say which ones, how they did. Do they see force for good, force for evil, neutral, and which ones are the interesting ones to watch and read. And I focused on those.
So who's your favorite science fiction writer all time?
My favorite is Isaac Asimov.
Yeah.
Actually my role model for writing. And
really?
Although I think he's an excellent science fiction writer, I collect actually his nonfiction science books, which I think some people have called him the master of the plain writing style. He has a conversational plain style in his nonfiction that I really emulate.
I read a biography about him many, many years ago, and it was an interesting read because he's one of those that just cranked them out, right? I mean, he would just crank out one thing after another.
He, at the time of his death, I think he died when he was 72. He had published over 450 books.
Wow.
That's it.
He was a writing addict. I mean, one of my favorite quotes from Asimov, he said, people ask me what I love to do. I said, in terms of things I like, there's many things. But in terms of what I love to do, it's writing.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And sort of, in some ways, similar to him. Another time I remember he was interviewed on Barbara Walters, and she asked him, what would you do if you found out you only had a month to live? He said, I'd type faster.
That's great.
That's love right there. That's love of your craft for sure.
You got to admire. Yeah. A guy like that just dedicated. And sometimes I think I remember reading he would have multiple projects going at the same time.
No, he always did. In fact, that was the secret of prolificity or his productivity. And
Yeah.
I used that. I'm sure you guys did too. When as a copywriter, that was my secret. I always had multiple projects because his lesson he taught me, and he published an article on it. He says, the reason I'm productive is I'm writing and I get stuck, put that aside and take the next one.
Right.
So I always had between 5 and 10 projects, books, copy, articles going at any one time. So I would never have writer's block because if I felt I couldn't go further with project A, put it aside and do project C and B and D.
Yeah. And that's sometimes that, that overlap or that, depending on how different the projects are, even if they're similar, like that overlap can create the very thing that gets you unstuck from project A is something you're studying or reading or researching or that comes out in B.
Absolutely. I found that to be the case. So I took his tip to heart, and multiple projects was the key to my productivity that I had.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes as a freelancer, you almost have to do that, because you're waiting on edits back or you're waiting on something, you got to have something.
And that's the other thing. If you're a freelancer, you're writing a landing page or a magalog, and it's at the client and they haven't returned it yet. What are you going to sit there and twiddle your thumbs? You go to the second project.
Right.
So I've never ever had just one project. I've always had somewhere between 5 and 10 projects going at one time.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
So what's the takeaway from this latest book that you've written? What is just highlight that if you would for us, and what do readers pull away from it regarding AI?
Well, most of it is it's not instructive. It doesn't teach you how to write with AI or use AI. It's basically how has science fiction looked at it over the decades. And now that AI has finally become a reality, and I think to me, it seems it's exploded out of the gate. And people say, I say to people, now that the genie's out of the bottle, it can never be put back. The world has changed forever. And it happened, in my opinion, or to me, much faster when it happened than I would have ever imagined. Exploded. And so the question, one of the questions it raises is this good or bad for people? And the views are either that A, it's good for us because it makes us more productive and lets us do more, and the other two views are B, it's bad because it's going to make a lot of people unemployable and put them out of work, which does happen. And all three of these I think are true simultaneously. And the third is, although this is the one I think is least likely, there is a possibility. Do you know who Greg Hinton is? They call him the godfather of AI. He's a computer scientist. He says he thinks, and he's a very serious guy, he's lauded in the computer science field. He thinks there's a 10 to 20% chance that within the next 20 to 30 years, AI will end the human civilization.
Wow.
It can certainly decide to terminate us like in Skynet.
Yeah.
And he thinks that's real, and it would be easy for it to do. It could poison the water, it could turn off the power. So, but that's I'm not that worried about that scenario. The scenario that I'm most worried about is what it's doing to people's employability, what it's doing to people, to the average worker. And that is my real concern. And automation, AI is just electronic automation. Before AI, this has been going on for centuries. There's been mechanical automation. And anytime there's an advance in technology, it does inevitably put some people out of work or make it difficult for them to earn a living. And can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
When I was a kid growing up in Paterson, New Jersey in the 1950s and 60s, I would go to my father's office in downtown, and I loved visiting him because Joe, the friendly elevator operator, was always nice to us kids. It was one of those, do you remember there used to be elevators were not self-service, where they had an elevator operator and so he was there. One day I get there, and when the elevator opens and there's no Joe, they installed push buttons.
Yeah.
Joe never worked again.
Yeah.
That was all Joe, for a variety of reasons. That's all he could do. He was older. He wasn't flexible, and it was devastating to him. And AI does that to a certain percent of the population today. Automation has always done that to a certain percent of the population.
Well, you got a lot of background in tech, and you're well read, science fiction. People say historically, like when some type of technology replaces Joe or something like that it creates as many or more jobs
Yes and no.
overall. So do you agree with that? And then
let me answer.
AI feels different, so I'm curious about.
No, but it's actually, I think it's the same. Yes and no. Yes, it always creates new and more jobs, but unfortunately, some of the people who are displaced by the new technology, let's say AI in particular, some of them can go to those new jobs and do them, but some of them can't.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons I can go into. They're not open to them, and they are the ones who suffer. A certain percentage of the population is helped, some is neutral, and some people, sadly, like Joe, are hurt. And it's inevitable. That's what progress in technology is. But I feel for people who go through that, because of my personal relationship with this guy who was so nice to me when I was a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. So just your opinion on what research you've done and just kind of, just life experience. Do you feel like AI will create net more jobs than it'll lose? Or do you feel like it's
likely, I think it's likely that it will create, on the plus side, it probably will create net more jobs.
Okay.
On the negative side, two things. A, some of those people who are displaced by it will not be able to go to those jobs. Yep. They won't fit. And I can go into the reasons why. Mm-hmm. And the other negative of it is that it'll make certain skills less valuable. So, for example, if they say now AI can read an X-ray better than a radiologist, you still need a radiologist. Mm-hmm. How much longer? And if AI can read the X-ray, and I spent all my money going to medical school and I was a highly paid radiologist, what are they going to pay me now? I live in I mentioned I moved. I lived in a new development where it's a active adult community. Mm-hmm. And the garbage truck comes by, and in my old neighborhood, they get out of the truck, they come up, get your cans, and put them in the garbage. Now the garbage truck, you have to put your can on the edge of the street. Every house has the same can, and the machine picks it up, dumps it in the garbage thing, goes back. And I said, they already have self-driving trucks. We're going to be able to not have garbage men, garbage truck drivers. So it is automating certain jobs. I don't know.
It's funny you mention that. Pretty much every suburb around here has those kind of trucks with the big green cans or blue cans. I do. Yeah, I remember growing up in Augusta, Georgia, in the '80s when there was like 5 guys hanging off the truck, and just like you said, they come down behind the house, they're rolling those cans down the street.
Where I lived in my last house only a few months ago, it was that way then. 3 guys on the truck, and they came and it was rolling down. And
now it's 1 guy.
So I do worry about what are going to happen to these guys. And I'll give you another example. The guy that I know, I write financial copy, and he has a trading house. And he says, Bob, you don't really understand how great AI is. He says, we had 20 traders on staff. Now I'm doing the same volume, same amount of work, same service to customers with 5. I said, well, that's good for you. It's probably good for the 5, but for the 15 who are gone, some of them it's okay. They can move to other things, but some of them can't.
Right.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
It is scary.
That's the scary part. And I feel, also I worry about people who spend a lot of money. I'm older, and so, I'm at the age where I can't be hurt by this. I don't need to work. Mm-hmm. So if I became obsolete tomorrow, people said nobody needed a copywriter anymore, and you see these debates online now, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
But, well, it does matter because I love it, but, it's not going to hurt me. But there are people who've trained for careers. I know a woman who's a copywriter, and her daughter just is graduating law school. She said a lot of the jobs for young lawyers are now being done by AI, preparing legal briefs. They can do a legal brief in 3 minutes that it would take a young lawyer 2 days to do. And they give the brief that AI did to the older senior lawyer, and he or she looks at it, and they might make a few changes. It's basically done.
Yeah.
So she says, "What? I just spent a fortune on my daughter's law degree. What's going to happen to me and her?
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate thing, and I feel
The
bad.
same. My wife and I were talking about this recently with like travel agencies. Remember, it
Oh,
used to be a thing. Now you can go like, because we're planning a trip next month overseas, and she can literally just go in and tell where we'll be on certain days, and it will tell you, here's what restaurant you need to go to,
yeah,
and here's the place to be, and here's what you should do, and blah blah blah. You know, it'll plan everything out for you within seconds.
yeah. I mean, my wife's mother was a travel agent. I would not go into that profession today.
No.
You know, certain
Yeah.
professions have become obsolete. I mean, when
Right.
I had my office in Dumont, New Jersey, 10, 20 years ago, a guy across the street I was friendly with, he was a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of business.
Yeah.
He can't make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Well,
I mean,
before we-
what do you see there being along those lines? Do you see at some point there being kind of a pushback or that rubber band effect where people say, okay, yeah, it replaces things, but there are certain people that want a personalized approach to things where they want to interact with a human being to some degree, and maybe it's going to eliminate most industries to a large degree, but there will be certain people that rise to the top and create a personalized approach to certain.
Well, there will always be a demand for various options.
Yeah.
Let's just take my profession, our profession. Some people want a live copywriter. For example, at this point in my life, people know who I am.
Right.
Even though I don't write with AI, and I can go into why, and I even have a policy page on my website explaining.
I love that. That's
I tell copywriters, if you're a copywriter, you should have a page that says your AI policy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and do you ignore AI? Do you actively embrace it and say, hey, you know, I use large language models to be better and faster and more efficient? Mm-hmm. Say that then. Or I hate it. Or I use it a little bit. Say what your policy is.
Yeah. Do you use it for just research, but not the writing? You know, how do you implement it?
Yeah. And, you know, and I use it for one or two very specific things that most people don't use it for.
Right.
But I don't use it for writing. And, but the problem is, because it exists, it gives a lot of the people who might hire these writers more options. Yeah. I've seen it happen where someone says, for example, I had a guy who's an artist that I recommended to one of my clients, and he's a very good visual artist. And the client said, yeah, I like his work, but, you know, I'm going to try AI to do the artwork. Mm-hmm. And they did, and it looked pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't hire my buddy, you know? And so for him, that's a bad thing.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, man.
So before we get into your personal use and why you don't use AI to write, I am curious, going back to science fiction a little bit, since you've just done all that research and you're a fan, how much of this do you think, how much of science fiction becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where we see cool gadgets dreamed up in these writers' minds, so then we want them? Like, and it's not like it's just a curiosity question. Like, do you think science fiction writers drive technology in some way?
The question is, people have said this. First of all, does science fiction predict what's going to happen in technology? Often it does. It's not the purpose of science fiction, but yet it does happen, and it happens more frequently. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it drives it, but people, for example, who thought of the submarine? Jules Verne. And then 50, 100 years later, someone built the submarine.
Yeah.
So most often, things that are thought of in science fiction then become science reality. It goes from science fiction to science fact, and that happens all the time. I could name dozens of examples. Lasers, right?
Yeah.
Even it sounds odd, like Star Trek, matter transporters, quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Transporters may actually, that kind of teleportation may happen. There's so many other examples. So yes, things that have been dreamt of by the science fiction writers often become science reality.
Yeah, I think there's something about just putting it out there into the human consciousness that, I mean, that's the first step in creating anything, right? Is somebody's got to have an idea and The next thing you know, 20 years, 30 years later, that timeline seems to be speeding up though.
Yeah.
Well.
I mean, if you look at old magazines, you'll find articles about the flying cars of the future. We're building them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the self-driving cars and trucks. You know, a few years ago, they came out with that movie, the X-Men movie Logan, where these big 18-wheelers are going down the highway. They're self-driving.
Yeah. We have them here in Texas.
Yeah. And you know,
and robots. I mean, you see robots.
Yeah. I mean, the people say AI and they think software, but you put it into hardware, which is the big move now. You know, you're creating robots. Now, at some point, you know, what if the robot doesn't want to do what you want? There was a book called that I talk about in my book called "The Machine Stops" by E.M. Forster.
Okay.
Where it says, we made the machines, but now they don't want to do what we want them to do.
I thought you were going to reference iRobot, which was
iRobot is one of the movie's good. The books are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another example. iRobot.
Yeah.
Did you see the movie?
Yeah, I saw the movie. I didn't read the book.
Yeah. So at some point in the movie, Sonny and Will Smith are trying to stop Vicky, the evil master robot.
Yeah.
It says, surely you can see my logic is undeniable. And Sonny says, I know, but it just seems heartless.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, right? Because the logic is
undeniable.
Yeah. The heart's
but
not
in
there.
some ways, it's heartless.
Right.
Yeah. What were the three maxims or the three commands?
I'll tell you what they are. One is I'm not sure I got them in the right order. One is a robot must not harm a human being.
Right.
Secondly, a robot must not harm itself unless that interferes with the first law. And the third one is a robot must obey what a human being says unless it interferes with the other two rules.
Yeah. And that unless was really important.
Yeah. So basically, you know, if you had a robot, it had to say what you said.
Yeah.
If you say to the robot, kill that guy, the robot's going to do it.
Yeah.
Not going to do it.
Yeah. Which really, that's actually based on kind of some military stuff, Jonathan, you and I were in, like unlawful orders versus lawful orders, those kind of things, you know, that a little harder to.
Did you guys work in defense technology?
No,
I did. Just a couple of
grunts.
We're just grunts.
Soldiers. Just grunts. So, well, Bob, let's switch to like,
on the back.
Yeah, we're just pawns. So, Bob, let's move into like the personal uses of AI and like what decisions you've made. I think everybody pretty much delineates AI as when ChatGPT came out. What was that? November 23 or 22? I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
It's flown by, whatever it is.
So many people, there's as many ways that writers use AI as there are writers. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own twist, flavor. Mine is this. First, I don't use it to do any writing. And if you go on my bly.com on the homepage, you go to the bottom and click on AI, it says, I don't use AI to write my copy. Now, I use it for a few applications. People say, oh, research and such. But here's the main one. I write a lot of financial copy. Mm-hmm. And today's, you know, the investment newsletter business, the investment advisory. Today, those packages, those promotions are what we call big idea packages. Mm-hmm. The most famous one was Porter Stansberry's The End of America newsletter. So what I use AI for, I say, let's say something happens, and what's the name of this? The Strait of Hormuz, where the oil tanker. Yeah. So when that happened, I said, could I write a direct mail package for one of my clients based on what will happen if the Strait of Hormuz is shut down? Mm-hmm. So I don't know, could I make a package out of that? Was there enough meat? So I asked ChatGPT, if that happened, what would be the consequences for the economy,
disruption
for the global world, and for the stock market? And it came up with a list of 7 to 10 things. Based on that, I said, yes, this promotion could be written because there's a lot of meat here. And then it said to me, would you like me to suggest what kind of stocks would be the best to trade in this market? Which I didn't even think to ask it. And I did. And it gave me basically all all the ammunition, all the fuel for the package, and it came up with some things that I wouldn't have thought of. Like they say, invest in the stocks of companies that are oil field services and equipment. That didn't occur to me. So, it gave me, I ended up not doing the package. I suggested it to a client. We talked about it. We decided not to do it. But we went with something else. But I knew it could work. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if I said to the ChatGPT, what would happen if the Strait of Hormuz closes, and it didn't say much, didn't have much of an opinion, didn't give me any ideas, because I don't know, I'm not enough of an expert for me to say it. Sure. Couldn't have done it. Wouldn't have said it. That's how I use it. This is what I say to people. I use AI to vet big ideas for copywriting projects. That's how I use it. That's my major use of it.
So you're using it before you even agree to, take on a project to see if this is something that,
I don't use it to come up with the ideas. When I read that item about the Strait of Hormuz, I said, that's good, but would it fly? I used to vet the idea and flesh it out.
Yeah, and that's a big, I think that's one of the most challenging things, especially newer copywriters or people that don't do copy full time. That nuance between a good idea and a big idea is it's hard to put your finger on, is if you're not in it and doing it every day and understanding and looking for it and all that. And most ideas out there are not big ideas. I mean,
and you don't have to have a big idea. There's a lot of
work
marketing written on small ideas. The famous one, people always said, Boardroom was based all on little ideas. What never to eat on an airplane was their envelope teaser. It's little ideas. And you can write packages based on little ideas, but especially in the investment space, and now a little bit more in the health space, alternative health, bigger ideas are, what seems to be working.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have clients that are looking for people that can write with AI, that they're actually trying to embrace it? They asked you your opinion on it?
No, here's what happens with me. I'm at this so long, like you, I have gray hair, although mine isn't growing out, that I take what comes to me. I have for a long time. So I have enough people that want what I do, which is basically, to write direct mail landing pages, long copy. That's direct response in B2B, health, and finance, which are my areas. They come to me. Now, what's different is that back in the day, and until recently, they always said, we want you to do a package. Like I have one on my site that they said, do a package on what's the best way. And this was before the big today's booming gold. This happened 7 years ago. There was also a boom in gold. They said, write a package on the best way to invest in gold, and that it's not to buy gold stock. It's not to buy junior gold mining companies, which is normally the way, like Doug Casey and other people say do it. Say it's to buy big gold company stocks. And so I wrote it. That was their idea. Today, they're more likely to say to me, we want to do something that has to do with gold prices or crypto or whatever. You have anything you're working on, Bob? Anything that's what they'll ask. They'll say, do you have anything that's brewing in your mind? That in that area, they want to know, have you been noodling with something? And if so, what is it?
Yeah. Okay. So at some point in the last 3 years with AI, you had to make a decision. Maybe it wasn't a big decision for you, but you had to look at it at least and decide, I'm not going to use this for writing. I'm sure you played around with it. What was your thought process, and why did you decide not to use it for your writing?
There's a couple of different reasons. Number one is that, and this came actually when I posted this, a guy I went to high school with and hadn't talked with I graduated high school in 75, and I hadn't heard from him in decades. Responded to one of my posts about AI. He said, his name is John. He said, the funny thing about even trying to use AI to write is that you will spend more time trying to get the AI to do anything correctly style-wise than you would just writing the damn thing yourself. And then he says, and each time you correct it, the response inevitably starts with, you're right. So if AI knows that, why doesn't it get it right the first time? So I really do feel it for me, because I love it. Now, I understand why some people use it for writing. I think the people it's best for in writing are non-writers. I'll explain what I mean in a second. But for me as a writer, it's easier for me to just sit down and write the thing myself. It doesn't help me to people say I use AI for first draft. I can write my own draft.
Mhm.
They'll say AI polish. That's the fun part for me. That's what I do.
Right.
So that's one reason. And the other reason that I don't use it much, and that's the main reason, is it's not faster for me. It actually, prompting takes more time. By the time I can figure out how to do all that prompting, I could write it better myself.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing against it. And also, I've used it, I've tested it a bit, and, I wouldn't say extensively, but semi-extensively, and it's inferior. It may be, people say, well, it's going to get better. AI is rapidly evolving, and I agree with that. But when it gets there, then call me. But right now, everything I see written by AI that people submit to me, or because I review copy I have certain clients that I like their copy consultant. The people on their staff show me stuff, and I can tell it's written by AI, and it's inferior.
Yeah.
So why do it? So the quality's not good, and it doesn't save time. It actually takes me more time. And the third is, to me, it's boring. Now, here's an interesting thing. There was a guy on a podcast who's a rancher, and he says he uses ChatGPT to write and run his business and AI. He says, because I don't want to be writing. I want to be out in the ranch on a horse. Yes, because that's his business. Yeah. But my business is writing.
Writing.
I don't want to be.
That's what you do. What are you going to do?
So I think AI is actually a better writing tool for non-writers.
Yeah.
I think for people like Isaac Asimov, I don't want to compare myself with him. He's here and I'm here. But Isaac Asimov or me, or people who love writing, it's not, I don't see the appeal.
Yeah. You referenced something I read this week, because you put it out in a one of your email letters, because I subscribe to you, and you were talking about the writer, somebody that's writing a book, and it's like, by the time you work through, all the revisions with, ChatGPT or whatever, why don't you just write the damn book, right? I mean, it's like, just sit down and write the book. If there's a book that really you're passionate about writing, write the damn book.
I saw someone advertising, get ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to write your novel. That seems less sensible. What's the point of even writing a novel?
Yeah.
Plato, I think it was, said writing is the soul talking with itself.
Right.
Why would I want to outsource that? That defeats the whole purpose. Now, there are some people out there who just want to create books or novels as a business tool. They want to, let's say they create it as a lead magnet or something to put in their funnel for their online business. And I know I could name them. I won't. I know some very big ones, and they tell me, they basically don't care about writing. It's a money-making tool. But to me, I'm like, again, I don't want to compare myself with my idol, Asimov. I love to write. It's the only thing I do that I really love.
I mean, could you imagine, even at that, could you see, I just don't see fictional writing from any AI so far that rivals what, you read something Asimov, or even think of like writers like Kurt Vonnegut.
He's great. Yeah.
He was if you read anything from him, it's very unique. His writing is extreme. It's hilarious. He's a humorist, but I just can't see AI doing that same, being able to create that same humor that he did in his writing.
Yeah. Well, and people
just from everyday stories. Everyday occurrences, taking the ordinary of life and making it hilarious, kind of like a Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, and it's because AI right now, ChatGPT pulls information from the web that has already been written. So he knows how to find it based on word choice, but it doesn't know what it means. It doesn't feel it the way you feel it. And people will say to me, well, it's evolving. Soon it will be better than you as a human being. Well, call me when that happens. But right now, it's crap.
I'm sure at some point it will be. It will be able to mimic some of these.
Probably will. I'll be dead, but I don't care. But
Well, it's funny because so here's a different side. You're familiar with Rich Sheffrin, right? You know Rich.
I know Rich very
Yeah.
well. He was
Well,
one of my copywriting clients years ago. I wrote an ad for him that's on my website right now because he had a weight loss clinic called Dynamic Changes or Positive Changes, and I wrote full page newspaper ads for him. But go ahead.
Well, he's launching a whole new AI tool. And so I was on the webinar off and on last night, way over my head, where he is just building like these armies of agents, AI agents.
Right.
And he's got like 7 copywriters battling agent. So 7 AI copywriters that will write a package and battle each other and I don't know how it's actually testing if it's not out in the real world, but supposedly they're competing against each other. And I was just watching, I was like, it's really cool. And I guess for the right businesses that are just trying to scale, trying to make money, but it definitely felt like, and as much as I love Rich, and we've had him on the show, and I was like, I don't know. That just, as someone who enjoys writing, it just doesn't.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
AI is great writing tool for people that don't enjoy writing or use it as a means to an end. For someone who, like me, who is the thing, it's what I do. Why? People will say to me, like someone sent me an email the other day. Well, Bob, I sort of like on your side. She says, I use AI to get me the first draft, and then I polish it on my own with my own thoughts. Why would I even use it to do the first draft? That's the fun part.
Yeah.
The first draft is the fun part. The second draft is also the fun part.
Yeah, because that's where you're just throwing everything out. You're not making edits on the spot. You're just getting it out there.
So it has no personal appeal to me. Rich also, you said you didn't follow a lot of what he said. I've been in conversations with him where I couldn't follow what he was saying. He operates at a much higher IQ level than I do. And he's great, but that's not me.
Yeah, and he's a systems guy, right? So he's looking for how do I create systems out of this? Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's but yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people love it. Business owners, business builders, I think it's great.
Yeah, he's a business.
And then you got the crafts people who still want to write. And I'm
a craft person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll offer the bespoke copy down the road or whatever.
Yeah. Which brings a point is, Amazon at some point they have to be filtering all of the books that are getting published. A lot of these are AI. At some point where some of these I don't know how you'll ever be able to tag, real versus AI.
Well, there are some things that the industry is doing. Yeah. First, there are certain publishers that will say, and for example, there's writing contests, there's magazines, there's publishers who say if you wrote it with AI, they won't accept it. And if they detect that it was written with AI, they'll reject it. I have one of my publishers, more than one of my publishers, tell me if they think an author has given them a book that they wrote with AI and they feel they can detect it fairly easily, they'll reject it. Reject the book. So it's something that a lot of publishers don't want and a lot of readers don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least, like I said, at least right now, when that changes, it'll change. But right now, it's very, and I see a lot of people complaining about it on social media posts.
Yep.
Because people are writing their social content with AI, and it all starting to sound the same. It's got the same rhythms,
LinkedIn is full of it. If you've ever
that drives me crazy. People say, I use AI to generate my LinkedIn posts. Why don't you use your brain to generate your freaking LinkedIn?
Oh, and you can see it because they all look the same. They're telling
they all look the same.
They're telling the story. Yeah, they sound the same, and they're trying to make a story with a point to it or some kind of some kind of lesson to share, and it's all the same. It's just from a different angle.
Very detectable.
Yeah. And then the only way to not get it that way is, going back to what Rich was talking about. He's literally put in thousands of hours to create these things to get it to the point where it gets basically as good as a human,
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
do you want to go down that whole path? Most
yeah,
writers.
I got an email yesterday, someone saying, I'm going to show you, they were offering a course. It wasn't Rich, it was someone else. We're
Yeah.
going to sell you a course to show you how to train AI to write like you. And I said to the guy, you know what? I already write like me.
What's the point?
I spent 45 effing years learning to write like me. I don't need to train ChatGPT to do it. So I don't see the appeal, buddy boy. And, you know, and so for me, again, if that's the case, you're going to write a novel with AI. Why bother?
Yeah. It makes, I mean, that, because going back to what you said previously, Bob, that's what you enjoy doing. Why would you want to, I mean, that makes no sense to, you know, get something to imitate you when that's what you enjoy.
Yeah.
What you love to do.
Did you ever see the movie Rat Race with John Cleese?
I love John Cleese, but that's one I haven't seen.
That's the one where they're going on a contest to retrieve $1 million.
Yeah.
And they're running a balloon. So at one point, John Cleese is talking about a guy. He says, sadly, he was born without a personality. And I think that's right now the way ChatGPT and Claude are. They were born without a personality.
Yeah.
If they ever can get a personality, then I wouldn't use them. I'm retired or I'm done if I'm
sure.
But you know, they have no personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they do, it's forced, right? It's like
it's
like that person it's like that socially awkward person that's trying to develop a personality that doesn't quite have it.
Yeah. And Claude, I think it's Anthropic, has a series of commercials that are very funny about I don't know if you've seen them.
I've seen those.
Yeah. Saying, well, Gene, that's a really bright idea. Why don't we brainstorm in ways you can do that? You know, and it's so flattering and cloying and ridiculous. And that was good. I don't know if it's still going on, but when I started experimenting with ChatGPT, it was very much that way. That's a neat, and I saved some of it. I could pull it up and show, that's a great idea, Bob. You're ahead of your time,
Yep. Yeah, to make you delusional real quick if you let it. That's for sure.
Yeah. It makes you delusional.
You've seen the ads recently now that AIs or ChatGPT is running ads, or I guess, I don't know if they have already, or
they do on the free level.
Claude's making fun of them,
Yes, I saw that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that might be one of the Super Bowl ads that's coming up. I don't know.
Probably.
We'll see tomorrow. We'll see Sunday.
Well, what other advice do you have around AI? So you're only using it just to vet a big idea, and sounds like very briefly.
Primarily to vet a big idea, and a little bit, somewhat, as a search engine. Instead of because it does. I think it does well with search. And
I think it does a great job at search results. I think it's better than Google now. Of course, Google's implementing their own AI. So
right now it's certainly on par with or better than Google. So I use Google. I use ChatGPT for search.
Yeah.
I don't use ChatGPT for writing. I use it for vetting big ideas. I don't think I really use it for anything other than that.
And what is your typical? You love writing, and I know you've been doing it for, what'd you say, 45 years? Like, what's your typical writing day look like? Do you write?
It's changed recently.
Okay.
For 45 years, I would get up, go to my desk at 7 a.m., turn on the computer, start typing, and at 7 p.m., I would turn off the computer and walk away. I work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. I work at least 60 hours a week. And there are people who work more. And I did that for, well over 4 decades. I am at this point in my life. I'm 68. And my life situation has changed a little bit. As I mentioned, we're downsizing. We're at a different stage of life, and also because I've been, my enthusiasm for the world has dampened a little bit because of AI. There's some aspects of that I've talked about that I don't like. So I'm not sure. I'm definitely going to I can't imagine not writing. But right now, the way I write is the people who know about me, a small group of people who A, know about me, B, for whatever reason want me, and C, want what I offer, which is classic human written direct response
Yeah.
copy. And they were willing to pay for it and wait for it. That small group is more than enough, to keep me occupied. At this age, I don't have to work for money, but I want to have stuff to do, and I want to sit around, stare at the wall. So as long as that's the case, I'll continue to do it.
It sounds like a lot of these are clients that know you well too.
They're mostly clients. I say so. I think I either added this to my website or I was going to, saying I only work with clients that know me and my work.
Right.
I know them, not necessarily that I've worked with them. Most of them I have, but they like what I do. I like what they do. I like them personally. They like me personally. That's what I work with. Well,
that makes a huge difference. I mean, knowing someone and knowing the work they do. I mean, what you can count on.
It's a comfort and safety and reliability,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I do get contacted by some people, many copywriters of all ages. And, a guy the other day says, I just learned copywriting. I'm 28 and he's worried. And I said, well, you and I are not in the same situation, because you have 20, 30, 40 years of earning a living. He has a young family. I don't have that. So it's hard for me to know how to advise him.
Yeah. So that was that. Yeah.
What
I grandkid?
Do I have
grandkids? Yeah.
No, unfortunately, my kids are married, but not heading in that direction so far. And I think I'd like to be a grandpa, but I can't force them.
Yeah.
And
what would you say to kids? What did you say to the 28-year-old? I'm just curious.
What did I say to him? I said to him, this is what I said. I said, I'm not quite sure what to say to you, because I always feel that for me, my whole life, my priority was because of my father. My father spent his life doing a job he hated, just to take care of his family. And I thought he was my hero for doing it. He sacrificed everything for us. But I said, God, I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I think of nothing worse than 8 hours, 12 hours a day doing a job he hated it. He was an insurance agent. And so I said to them, it's important that whatever you do for a living, you like.
Yeah.
And if you, his name was Steve or Jim, or I forget, Steve or Jim, I forget who I was talking with. And I said, listen, if you want to write, but also have, and it's an old idea, multiple streams of income.
Yep.
So in addition, yes, this is what I've done my whole career. I had copywriting, which was my mainstream, but I also wrote books. I wrote magazine articles.
And information products. I can't tell you how many information, like PDFs and audios I've bought from.
I made and sold and still do today information products. So that was another stream. And I did consulting. And I also did a lot. I don't do any more. It's sort of stopped with COVID. I did a lot of platform speaking in person. My main gig in speaking was I did corporate gigs. A company would hire me, and it was weird. The basic seminar that I did the most often was effective technical writing for engineers. I taught engineers at big corporations how to write better.
Yep.
And it was live. They pay you a flat fee for the day. You go there and you got 15, 20, 25 people in a room. And that was my favorite forum. I did many other kinds of speaking, platforms, conferences, but that's what I like to do.
Yep.
I got 20, 25 people and work with them solid for a day or two.
Yeah, I did that one summer for national seminar training.
I know well.
Yeah, I went around 4 or 5 cities one summer and did, copywriting 2-day copywriting training.
And I loved. I didn't do it for them. I know them, and that was my favorite forum. I liked it much, because a lot of speakers in those days who wanted to be speakers said they wanted to do the 1 hour keynotes. I never liked doing the 1 hour. I said it's not enough time to dig deep and make a difference. You might motivate them, but in a day's training or a 2-day training, you could really make a skill difference in the student, which is what that's what rewarded me.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you weren't a copywriter, it sounds like you'd probably be a teacher.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only 2 things I was ever any good at professionally was writing and speaking/teaching. And actually, so I did corporate teaching, but earlier I was an adjunct professor of technical writing and copywriting at New York University in the early 80s. My first book was published in 1982. It was called The Elements of Technical Writing. And I was asked to do seminars in technical writing, and NYU had me on the faculty. And I loved doing that. I loved doing that. I had to stop it because, A, there's no money in doing the adjunct professor, and B, commuting at the time, NYU was over the river in Hudson River. The commuting, even back then, it was so bad, the traffic, it would take so long. It was just frustrating me. And I didn't want to do the drive anymore.
But I think that writing, and there's a lot of overlap, because I've seen a lot of teachers who become good copywriters, pastors who have become good copywriters. There's some kind of overlap there where you're
there's definitely an overlap. I mean, they're
expanding ideas and influencing the idea, the way people perceive the idea, all that stuff.
They're very similar. A lot of the people I know who are writers also do speaking. A lot of the speakers that I know also do writing. There's a lot of overlap. It's just, what's your primary area? For example, Fred Gleek, the internet marketer, is a friend of mine. He writes, he speaks. I write and speak. But his thing, he loves speaking first. I love writing first. I very much enjoy speaking, but writing is my preferred mode.
Yeah, I'm more of a writer because I don't like the travel.
It's ironic. That's what stopped me, because although I don't like to travel, I like being in front of a crowd.
Same. Yeah.
I like it better than virtual. I still do virtual training now. I offer it on my website to a few corporate clients. But I love being in front of in a room where I can look into the attendee's eyes and see their face. And one-on-one with them. And you can feel
there's an energy. Yeah, you can feel the vibe live that you cannot feel on Zoom.
Right.
Totally. And the first time I did a Zoom, I was shocked at that. It was like an empty space. So if it wasn't if they had transporters and I could just beam myself over to the location, I would do it. But I also never liked traveling, and I like it less and less as the years went by.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy going vacation places, but as a part of your living, traveling, I mean, I did in-home sales for the first 10 years. I was out on my own, always traveling from town to town. Stay in hotel. Like, I like having my own coffee, my own chair, my own pillow. All that stuff. It's hard. I know, Jonathan, you still travel quite a bit, not as much as you used to, but
I mean, in my youth, in the 80s. And even in the 90s, I did a fair amount of traveling, even overseas for seminars and bull information systems in Italy and Fleet Street in the UK. And I liked going on the trips, but I didn't like the airplanes. I didn't like the
roads. It's the worst.
And I always had problems, like once I was giving a seminar in Germany, and for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to operate the German hotel rooms. Press every button, no light goes on. So I call the guy up. He looks at me like I'm a moron. Puts in a slot in the door and everything goes on. No one told me. I had a lot of, not horrible, but a lot of negative travel experiences. So I'm glad to be done with it.
Yeah. What's that movie with the terrible movie with Sylvester Stallone where he's the cop and the seashells in the bathroom?
Is it Rhinestone Cowboy or the other one?
No, it was.
Oh, you shoot my
Judge Dredd, I think. Judge
Dredd. Yeah. Judge Dredd is a good comic book. It was a crappy movie, but
So I remember, he goes back or forward in time, or I can't remember exactly what was happening, but they were there were seashells laid out in the bathroom instead of toilet paper, and he was like, and they're like, he just use those.
Were you a big comic book fan?
Am I a comic book fan?
Were you a comic book fan growing up?
I have been a comic book fan since the age of 10.
Yep.
I had at one point a huge comic book collection. My kids were into comic books. I moved so you can't see them, but I used to have comic book stuff all over the office. I still have some comic book art over there, and I could pull it up and show you. And so I was very much into comic books. And
so what do you think about the Marvel and the DC, all of the movies and the
that's weird
spinoffs?
The first really great superhero movie was the first Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
And from 1978. And when that came out, because I love superheroes, I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to be so happy." And they kept doing them. And I said, but it reached a point where it oversaturated. You're kind of smiling. I don't even see them anymore.
Yeah.
Occasionally there's one that I want to see, but it's too much. So they made me happy that they became big, but it's overkill.
But they've overdone them.
It's way overdone.
Way overdone. Yeah.
Way overdone.
Yep.
Yeah. X-Men did a lot, and then Marvel took the Avengers and did that times 10.
Yeah. There's too many Doctor Stranges, you know.
Yeah. Just all kinds of stuff.
And there's so many Batmans now that you can't.
There's so many Batmans. Yeah. And you can imagine Michael Keaton and whatever. Val Kilmer goes, "I'm Batman." He goes, "No, I'm Batman, not you." You know, it's just way too many Batman. Well, I think who's the guy? Ben
Affleck.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked him.
No, he had the coolest look. He was probably the most accurate from a comic book.
No, because also he's the right size.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's a little guy. Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
6'4".
Yeah, he's 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
Do you think that the comics is what spurred your love of writing or storytelling?
Probably when I was young, it was a combination of science fiction, which I read at a young age, comic books in particular, and then just, you know, I was back then, you know, the kids are not this way today, but you went to the library.
Yeah.
So you didn't order a book on Amazon. You went to the library to find a book. And as you're looking for that book, you'd stumble across 10, 20, other 30 books that looked interesting, and you'd load up.
Yep.
That's how we developed our love. Again, I'm 68 of reading and writing. That, you know, if you just pick out the book on Amazon and order it, you don't get that.
Because you had to devour them, or you only had them a month, right? And then
you only had them a month. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even think of that, but you're right. You had to read them.
Yeah, but there is that serendipity of going up and down the aisles. We talked about that on a previous show, and luckily that is coming back. I see Barnes and Noble's like actually expanding for the first time,
big time.
A decade.
I went in a Barnes and Noble during the holidays, and it was just crowd. I mean, there was so many people in there. It was packed.
Yeah, we did recently too. We went into a Barnes and Noble, and I hadn't been in it so long. I said, "This is so fun," you know.
Yeah. Oh, I love them.
I love them. And I am also, not only do I love reading and writing books, but I like books not only as literature or information. I like them as objects.
Yep.
I don't collect rare books, but I like
the smell of the pages.
You know what the best smell is? To buy a 1960s mass market paperback, like a science fiction paperback, with the yellowing, browning pages. It has a certain smell that's unduplicated anywhere else in the world. So, I like physical books.
Yeah. There's something. Yeah, they're kind of like little trophies of, you know, stuff you've read, and they're all around the house. And well,
that was the big problem. We moved again from a 3,500 square foot house. This house is much smaller. My wife said, "You got to get rid of most of these books." I hated it, and I did. She only let me keep like 3 or 4 big bookcases, and the rest I gave away or sold. You know, people don't want them today. They say, "I can just put it on my Kindle." I say,
keep it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what my wife told me. She's like, "You're ordering too many books. Can you just start buying them on Kindle?" And I'm like, it's just not the same.
Honey, I could, but I'm not going to.
Yep. So
the Kindle reader is just not quite the same.
Well, I mean, we had what was the guy that wrote the book, Writing Without Bullshit?
Yeah.
What was his name? I can't remember his name.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
He talks in the early part of that book. He quotes that study about physical books versus anything on a screen, and the difference between retention and everything is just so much higher with printed material.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. They did a similar study between video and audio, and retention was higher with the audio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because you have to create your own pictures.
Yeah, you got to make your own pictures.
Yep.
Yeah. That's crazy. So, well, Jonathan, do you have any final questions?
I guess to close out, last question. I mean, I know you kind of hinted on it, talking about young copywriters, you know, what advice would you leave them with, you know, in the age of AI?
Well, a couple of things. First, if you can, have a trust fund.
Yeah.
Good, always a good first step.
That's a good step. Have a backup, have a trust fund.
Inherit money, have wealthy parents, marry a wealthy spouse.
Yeah, yeah.
But that being the case, you have to make a decision. Do you really not like writing? Do you love writing? For me, it was never an option not to be a writer. Again, I'm modeled after Isaac Asimov. I had no choice. I had to write.
Right.
So given that I had to write, if I was doing it today, I would look for multiple ways to monetize. I hate the word monetize, but that's what people say today, to monetize my writing. Again, I did that throughout my career. Magazine articles, columns, books, info products, seminars. Multiple streams of income. That comes from Robert Allen. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that book.
Yeah. Maybe keep your expenses low so you don't have to.
Absolutely.
It's not a minor thing. Yeah. I once went to a writing seminar in Florida Freelance Writers Association. I was a speaker, and I met a guy there who became a friend, David Cohen. He was a speaker, and he gets up and they said, "What's your advice?" He says, "Live below your means."
Yep.
That was it. And I always did that. I always, never put myself in any financial difficulties. So I didn't, even though I made decent money. I wasn't rich, but I made decent money. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of pressure off of you. Versus, I see a lot of people. I'm not going to name names, but some of the internet marketing bros, they
like to show off
they spend money. I won't name them. I could, but they spend money and show you the latest toys. But maybe some of them make so much money it doesn't matter. But a lot of them, if you have 3 Rolls Royces in the driveway, that's probably not the easiest thing to pay. To pay insurance.
Or these big teams that they hired because they like having a big team to control. Like, I know some of those guys that built teams way too big, way too fast. And it was it's just an ego thing.
I think I know some of the people you're referring to. And
yes,
and you're right. And I never wanted.
It's all a facade. I mean, it really is. You start to learn that a lot of these things are all rented out, and these high priced homes or mansions are rented out, and cars are rented out, and it's really just to create some kind of.
And that's been going on for decades.
Yeah. It's not just the internet. Some people blame the internet, but it's way before that.
Back in the day when they had the money making opportunities magazines, so you'd open it and there'd be a page, get rich with my system, and the guy would be leaning on a Rolls Royce, and you knew it wasn't his Rolls Royce.
No,
they had a sign in the window that says, "Not really my car." That's what they did.
Yep.
Yeah. I do have one question I wanted to ask. I almost forgot about it, Bob. And this is a tough question. It's going to be purely like just your opinion, subjective. But I've thought a couple times, and I thought you might be a good guy to ask. But you were, Clayton Makepeace very well, or knew him very well, and he passed away 2020, kind of as COVID was starting. He passed away. I've often thought he was an early adopter to a lot of different modalities around copywriting and things like that. How do you think he would have responded to AI if you just had to guess?
Easy way to find out. 2 of his students are still active. Carlene Anglade Cole and Kim Krause, I think she pronounces her last name. You should ask them what she said. I knew him, and I knew him fairly well, but I don't want to say what he would have thought. I'm not sure I feel confident to answer that, but they would know.
Paris might know as well.
Paris would also probably be a good person to ask.
Might have to dig up some of those names and see if I can. I'm just curious. Like, there's a part of me that thinks he would have embraced it. He would have kicked and screamed a little bit, and I think he would have found out how to use it. Just because he liked to systematize so many things.
I suspect that you are correct.
But I'd be curious to get his Cubs opinions on that. So maybe I can.
I wasn't confident enough to say that as my own opinion, but I suspect that you are correct.
Yeah, he loved to kind of figure out why things worked.
This guy, and he was very admirably so, as a lot of people are very focused. He loved writing, but he was focused on making money. In fact, I remember he was on a seminar, and someone said, I want to be a copywriter, and I want to write about horses because I love horses. He said, "Look, if you love horses, don't write about horses in your copy. Don't look for horse copywriting clients. Write for financial newsletter publishers, supplement makers, and take all the money you make there and buy yourself a horse or a stable.
There you go.
And that was his advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're writing about horses, you're not affording a horse. That's
Yeah.
No.
Those critters are expensive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know all about that, Sean.
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, luckily my daughter's got her own now. So, well, she doesn't have her own, but she ran into a friend where she's living now, and they have horses, and she gets to ride for free. It's like having a friend with a boat. That's the best kind of boat to have.
That's right.
Exactly.
A friend with a boat. So, Bob, this has been fun. We could probably talk, all day.
Been a pleasure.
And, maybe we'll check in another year or two and see if the AI is caught up to you yet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in a year or so. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you invited me on. I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah. It's always a good conversation, Bob. We enjoy it. Thank you so much.
All right.
Where can people find out about you? We've got to give you a plug.
Best place to go is my last name, Bly. B as in boy, L-Y. www.bly.com is my website, and www.bly.com/reports will get you on my list for free. And you'll hear from me a few times a week and get a library of free special reports.
The fact that you got that domain back in the day, bly.com, I mean, that's...
It's interesting. I was a little slow. I was late to the internet, but I grabbed the domain name early.
Yeah.
And the domains today. I've been offered by there's some legitimate domain name brokers, and they've had offers for as much as $50,000 for Bly.com. And I said, why? There's no business that says Bly. They said any 3-letter .com domain name, they'll buy it. They'll fit something to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course they will.
Yeah. So I was glad to get it.
Yep. That's perfect.
Yes, it's an acronym for somebody.
Yeah. Big Logistics Yellowtail or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, all right. Well, we dropped your link in the comments. We'll put it on the show page and all that stuff. And if you can hang tight just a second, Bob, we'll come back to you as we wrap up.
I will do that.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
The legend.
The
Bob
legend.
Bly.
There he is. So
always good.
It's bly.com/reports. You can get on Bob's list, and you'll get four free special reports worth over $100.
He gives a lot of good stuff away too. I can attest to that. I've bought a lot of stuff.
You've been on his list for 20 years, probably.
Maybe not 20, but about 15 probably. But I can attest to the fact that I bought a lot of information products, and he does a good stuff, and he gives so much value from that, always gives more than what you buy.
I first heard of Bob at AWAI in 2005. So it's been 21 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
2 decades. So half of his working life I've known about him. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Amazing.
When you put it in like that, makes me feel old. So
time is moving on, man. Time
keeps on slipping. All right, we'll stop there so we don't have to pay royalties.
All right.
Who we got coming up next week? Do we have anybody, or
we have a guest lined up for either next week or the following. We're trying to nail down, but this will be good. He's he's worked in PR for I think 20 years, but he's written a book on creating conspiracies. So we're going to delve into that. I told him it would be ideal if we had him on Friday the 13th. That would be a lot of fun, but
would be good.
I don't know if he's going to be able to make it next Friday or the Friday after, but he's written a book called something to do with conspiracies. He's got the word conspiracy in it. So,
well, we see why I got your attention.
It's Confessions of a Conspiracy Writer, I believe.
All right. I like it. So is this, we'll just say this is the guy behind QAnon, right? We're going to interview him live. It's just
maybe so.
Get a few extra listeners there. So
there you go.
All right. Well, I'll let you take us out. Then we'll get back to Bob here.
Good show. You can check us out. This is episode 420 over at persuasionbythepint.com. You can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. We're everywhere you find your favorite podcast, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, you name it. So Look forward to seeing you all next week. We will be having a show. If we don't have a guest, we'll probably be talking about some commercials this coming weekend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see you
We'll
next time.
find something to talk about.
Absolutely. We'll see you.